Okay, good evening everybody. We are in Parsha Emor. That would be found in chapter 23 of Leviticus. And I want to give a little bit of an introduction to what we're going to be discussing. It's not the beginning of the chapter. So it begins with talking about all the festivals. Now if you look at chapter, it's page 303 of the handouts I gave you. Begins by saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, Hashem's appointed festivals. Moadei Hashem. And it does start out with Shabbat. It mentions the Sabbath. And then it begins in order, right? We start off with what we call Pesach. It's the time of the Pesach offering, but it's called, from Hashem's point of view, the festival of Matzot. Interestingly enough, I should let you know that we have spoken in the past that God calls it the festival of Matzot, Hag HaMatzot, because he's praising us for what we do. We are the ones that make the matzahs. And we do it quite quickly to avoid chametz. As we mentioned, and we're going to talk about it a little bit today, that the chametz represents the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. Whereas where we call it Hag HaPesach. Why? Because it's not just because of the Korban Pesach, but because the word Pesach, that Hashem jumped over, so to speak, that Hashem passed over our firstborn, he passed over our houses, and he wiped out the firstborn of the Egyptians. So while God is praising us, we praise Hashem. And that is, now you're getting a little idea of the rabbinics and the romance involved in many of the, we spoke about it last week, many of the, what we call rabbinic Judaism is all about the romance in the relationship. Okay, so after Pesach, what should come? What should come? Shavuot. Now it doesn't mention it directly, right? It's going through a period of time called the Omer. And we begin counting, or begin with the Omer offering on the morrow of the rest day, which is Macharat Shabbat. Now if you heard Rabbi Breitowitz, he gave a shiur on the Sadducees' mistake, the Sadducees' mistake. The Sadducees start counting from the Sunday after Passover, because they take it literally and they don't know the oral Torah, they don't believe in the oral Torah. So their Shavuos at the end of the 7 weeks is going to be a different day. It's always going to be on Sunday. Happens to be me, right? So, or happens to be, maybe this year will be the same, okay? But every other year, it's basically going to be different than ours. So even though it says in the English on the morrow of the rest day, and in the Hebrew it says the following day of Shabbat, that's because if you hear his shiur, we call Pesach a Shabbat. It's also a holiday that you cease from doing work as well. If you look already in 15, because prior to that was talking about the actual Omer offering, then it's talking about the counting. And notice that you're going to, verse 15, you shall count for yourselves from the morrow of the rest day, from the day when you bring the Omer of the waving, 7 weeks. They shall be complete. Until the morrow of the 7th week shall you count 50 days. So that day is Shavuos. That day is going to be called for us Home2Torah, the day of the giving of the Torah. We actually physically received it only on Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur. We didn't receive it on the 17th of Tammuz. We got the broken tablets.
That's what happened.
Okay. We got the Torah, the tablets, on Yom Kippur. Okay. And then it says, and you shall offer a new meal offering to Hashem. That statement is referring to Shavuos as well. And that's what we're going to deal with in the first part of this class. And these loaves, these 2 loaves that you're going to bring as a offering are baked leaven. Okay? They're going to be offerings to God. When do we bring leavened bread? We don't bring leavened bread in the temple. We don't bring it we don't bring it with honey. We don't bring it with salt. I'm sorry, not the other offerings, right? The meat offerings we bring with salt. But the bread itself is just water and oil and flour. But since when do we bring it with chametz? with actual leaven. It's unheard of, except on Shavuos, which we're going to discuss. So I'm going to save the rest for later, but I just want to show you that if you go to the next page, so then you end up with Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. So you see there is a order. Now I just want you to skip on that second page on verse 22. So in verse 22, right in the middle of all this, it says, when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not remove completely the corners of your field. In other words, you have a mitzvah of what we call payah, leaving the corner of the field for the poor. And not only that, there's additional mitzvahs you could do with your field and your harvesting, and that would be called leket and shichacha. Shichacha, like let's say you start piling up and you're doing your harvesting, and then you remove those piles, and there's some of the grains are left behind on the ground underneath the pile that you removed. So that's shichacha, and leket is when you're taking the gleanings, and a few fall at a time, and you leave them behind also for the poor. So all of a sudden, just in the middle of the discussion and just about all the holidays, you have this thing about giving to the poor. But what we're really going to talk about also is the idea that, number one, it doesn't have a date. There is no date for Shavuos. We know that it's 50 days after leaving Egypt, and we start counting on the day after, so on the 16th onward. And also what we know is, where's that going? That a month can have either 29 or 30 days. And that all depends on the re'iyah, on the seeing and the witnesses going to Beis Din. So these are already established through the Beis Din of Hillel. And it's set already till the year 6000. But since there could be a 29 or a 30 day, and it passes through two Rosh Chodeshes during the counting of the Omer, you have Rosh Chodesh Iyar and Rosh Chodesh Sivan. So theoretically, or technically speaking, Shavuos can either fall out on the 5th, 6th, or the 7th of Sivan. It's established it's going to be on the 6th, no matter what. Doesn't matter if there's going to be, it's always already set that one of the months is full, meaning it has 30 days, and the other month is 29, so it's smack in the middle. Okay, so it won't fall on the 5th or the 7th, but it does every year now that we establish the calendar on the 6th. But what it does not say in our Torah is that it is the day of giving of the Torah itself, the day of the revelation, which is the most important day for us. This is what our religion is all about. You know, we deal with converts all the time, my wife and I, and we prep them in their before they go to the Beis Din. And we ourselves know, are they into it because they just love Jews? And that's really not going to cut it so much. They have to love God and Judaism. Okay? Once they love God and Judaism, then we know that they're prepared and ready to be converted. And so why did I bring that up? I forget. I just feel like saying it, I guess.
It's not mentioned, the date.
Huh?
The date is not mentioned.
Oh, the date itself, the most important date is not mentioned. Coincidentally, what other thing is not mentioned is the idea that Rosh Hashanah is the Day of Judgment. It doesn't mention that at all. All that it says is that it's a festival of blowing the shofar. Look at verse 23. I think it's really 24. Notice 24. Speak to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, on the 1st of the month, you already know this is called a Rosh Chodesh. Anytime it's the 1st of the month, it's the first day of the month, it's called Rosh Chodesh. You shall not gather your gleanings. Where am I at? I skipped. Okay. In the 7th month, on the 1st of the month, there shall be a rest day for you, a remembrance with shofar blasts, a holy convocation. That's all it says. Okay, so that's crazy. Like, we call it the Day of Judgment. That's why before we even begin, I just wanted to bring on the source sheet in Psalm 81. Psalm 81, King David HaMelech wrote this. He didn't make things up, right? This is like he was on a really high level of Ruach HaKodesh. And he writes, blow the shofar at the moon's renewal at the time appointed for our festive day. Tiku b'chodesh shofar b'kesel yom chagenu. When, throughout the calendar, you just saw it right there, you have Pesach is on the 15th of the month, Shavuos is going to be on the 4th, the 5th, 6th, or 7th, you have Rosh Hashanah on the 1st, you're going to have Yom Kippur on the 10th, you're going to have Sukkot on the 15th. Out of all those dates, which festival do you have on Rosh Chodesh, on the moon's renewal? There's only one. And what did we see it says? It's a festival. Great. So that's the only festival. And then, if you look into verse 5 in Psalm 81, because it is a decree for Israel, a judgment day for the God of Jacob. So like, you know, I meet these people who left the church all the time, and the whole bunch of them wanted to wish me a Happy New Year on the 1st of Nisan. Yeah, they're really into like the Sadducees, you know, really into the written Torah with no oral explanation whatsoever. And they were like, isn't it like that's the real day? That's the real New Year's. What are you celebrating on the first day of the 7th month? Okay, because God told us to. And Dovid and Melch backed it up, like, you know, he's on God's side, you know. He's on the Pharisees' side. Anyway, so I wanted to show you that as an introduction. Now, we go to the Kliyakar, and this is chapter 23, and we're going to go to the verse 15, I believe. As I mentioned to you, it says, you shall offer a mincha chadashah laHashem. You shall offer a new meal offering to God. Huh?
Verse 16.
It's verse 16, sorry. Verse 16. So, what is the Kliyakar? This is what we're using as an outline for our discussion. He says it's a siman liyom matan Torah. That it's a sign for the day of the giving of the Torah, for the revelation, the most important day for us. And yet it doesn't even mention it, but it's a sign. Why? And this is like, I want to get this across to you. I want to like sink this lesson into my own heart. That ki haTorah tzricha liyot chadasha, that the Torah needs to be new, etzol ha'adam b'kol yom, by a person, by every human being. It should be to him every single day new. Ki'ilu hayom kiblu mihar Sinai, as if right now the Torah was received, as if we're standing at Har Sinai just today. This is the celebration, the revelation, the anniversary. Watch that first step.
What is this part?
Something I also want to mention, like, where is the mount? Right? Where's Moses buried? There's certain things that we just don't know, and we're not supposed to know. But here he gives us a very nice reason why there's no date that is set. It says in the Medrash, this exact point, Umashlo nizkar b'Torah b'feirush. Why is it missing? Why is it not mentioned in the Torah explicitly? Ki yom zeh matan Torah, that this is the day of the revelation. V'chein lo nizkar b'Torah b'feirush. And since, interestingly enough, the same Medrash asks, why is the day of Rosh Hashanah not mentioned as Yom Hadin? It does not say in our Torah, as you saw with your own eyes in chapter 23 in Leviticus, it's a day of remembrance for blowing of the shofar, but it does not say that it's the Yom Hadin, that it's the day of judgment. And the Kliyakar says, Tam shneim echadu, that it's one reason for both. Like it's written in another book that he wrote called Olus Ephraim, Shi'al matan Torah lo ratza Hashem lahag b'yom yidua. That regarding the greatest day of our religious and outlook in life is the revelation itself. God did not want to limit it to one known day. You get it? Why? Because of this very important point. That it's necessary, it's absolutely imperative that a man should feel or imagine himself that each and every single day of the year, it's as if that very day he received the Torah, meaning he should be living in a constant state of revelation. That's what it means. You hear me? Okay.
So what about for Rosh Hashanah?
Ki be'emet. Huh?
For Rosh Hashanah,
We're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. We want to take a pot shot guess?
so every day should feel like a judgment?
Every day you should do tshuva. If you knew, which we do know.
Everyday creation.
Every day. We're born anew, man. Born again. Ki be'emet, Chazal say in Maseches Eruvin, on page 54b, that the Torah, okay, now this is going to get a little, what's the word?
Flowery.
What's the word?
Flowery?
Flowery. For all the mothers out there. Torah nimshala ladadze, that the Torah is compared to a breast. Shekol zman shetinok memashmesh bo, that a child, not a child, an infant, the whole time, or any time that an infant suckles and nurses, moitzi bo tam chadash, there is a brand new taste. It's like, I don't know, man, like man from heaven, apparently. It was a long time ago. Kach Torah, the same way the Torah is. Kol ha'hoige bo, anybody who meditates in the Torah, moitze b'kol yom tam chadash. They draw forth a new taste. Guys, are you with me? This is like incredible. Al kain dinhu. Therefore, the logic dictates, or the concept is, shedoime olah b'kol yom kilu hayom kiblu mi'ar Sinai. That how should it be to us that it's as if, right? We should imagine to ourselves, but when it says imagine to ourselves, make it real. It's a real vision that each and every day we are receiving the Torah from Har Sinai. In Cain, if that's the case, Kol Yom Hu Matan Torah. That means that really every single day is the revelation by those who meditate in it. Eitz Elohogin bo. Al Kein Roi Lahav Yom Yidua L'Netina. That's the reason why it's not fit to define or limit a particular known day to the giving. Al Kein Amru Chazal. That's why the rabbis say, Shiyu Divrei Torah Chadoshim Alecha. That the words of Torah, the Torah itself, should be something that's new to you. You should always feel. We ask somebody, everybody I run into, what did you learn new today? What new? Tell me something new. Right? You meet people on the street, what do they say? That's what they ask each other, right? What did you learn today? What? There is no base medrash without a chidush. There's no such thing. V'lo kedavar hayashan shalibo shel adam katzbo. You're going to help me with the word katz, but I would translate this. That it should not be to you something that's old in your heart that a man would like pull away from, desist from, or be disgusted from. God forbid, right? Things can become so boring and routine that you just like, give me something exciting. The Torah itself is exciting. Shrei be'emet, behold in truth. You draw from it davar chidush b'kol yom v'yom. You know, I must have saw this a couple years ago. It's like I'm seeing it for the first time. Al kain ein yom netinet muvor b'torah yoter mima shenirmaz b'havas mincha chadasha. Therefore, the day of giving is not clear in the Torah any more than what is hinted right here. That what did we say? Well, you have to do on Shavuos. It says you shall offer a new meal offering, a mincha chadasha. You don't see that term used anywhere. But on this day you have to bring a new meal offering. New. To teach you what? Torah mincha chadasha b'kol yom v'yom. That really your whole involvement in Torah is like an offering to Hashem, and it should be new each and every single day. Now we're going to get into why do we bring these baked leavened breads, right? They're chametz. What do we know about chametz? It's something to stay far away from for 7 days. Maybe you guys ate. But 7 days, right, in Israel from chametz. Because it represents the evil inclination. It represents the Yetzer Hara. Something to stay far away from. And what does the Kli Yakar immediately say? Those shtei halechem hachametz asher hayetzer hara nimshal bo. That the yetzer hara itself is compared to the chametz. Now, we're going to get into this story about, it's really an unbelievable story. When Moses goes up to receive the Torah, you know what the angel said? Why are you giving the Torah to man? This is such a holy book. It doesn't belong on earth. It belongs up here with us holy beings, us spiritual beings. And Moses has an argument. He has a discussion, a debate. He's like Perry Mason. I don't know. He's like, you know who that is. Some Al Dershowitz. Some lawyer who's going to go up there and win the case. And the angels actually give in and say, you're right. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have given the ending away. But you guys know the ending. We got it. So we'll eventually get there. He says, Biloshin, ki Biloshin Chazal, in the actual language of the rabbis. Now, I'm going to go to a piece of, it's on page 2. I actually skipped 3, and I really want to go back to 3 a second. In Proverbs 5:19, it says, a lovely hind. A hind means a type of a deer. And a graceful mountain goat, her breast will satisfy you at all times. You shall always be intoxicated with her love. Okay, so the word dadeha is the word for breast, and your ravucha shall be like increased or satisfied all the time. It's talking about the Torah. So you hear, I'm not making it up. This is the Tanakh that you guys are all in love with. Okay? And the Gemara in Eruvin discusses this idea, as I mentioned, that just like a baby always finds more milk in the breast, so too, whenever one ponders Torah, they find Tam. Tam. We always discuss, Eza Tam, Ma Tam. What's the reason? We want to know the reason behind everything. So the word reason and taste are the same. I want to feel it. I want to be satisfied from the intake. You know, if you eat and you have no taste buds, you probably just keep eating. I mean, there is an idea that it helps you. Just like someone who's blind will never be satisfied, right? They say, I went to chef school, that it's all in the presentation, right? It's enticing. So the taste and this eyesight is really what you see adds to the taste. I don't know if you get that point, but I hope I got that across. Okay. So in Gemara Brachos 17a, which I'm going to discuss a little bit here, what happens is this. When you do the Amidah, at the very end of the Amidah, after we say Shalom, there's like this thing that you can close. Now you should always know that you're supposed to add your own words. Always best to add your own words, praying for someone's health, praying for your own needs. And it's really suggested either in Shema Kolenu, which is the blessing where you're actually asking for your prayers to be accepted, or at the very end, right before the very end, there's a place also to add. But the Gemara Brachos goes through many different stories of different rabbis that made up their own endings, like what was important to them. And it's recorded. So there was one rabbi who mentioned, his name is Rabbi Alexandri. There's actually a dispute about what he said, but we'll get to that in a second. He says he would request, this is version 1, that Hashem establish us in an illuminated corner, save us from afflictions, not in a dark corner. Our hearts should not mourn, our vision should not wane. Okay, we're actually going to discuss that. Also, version 2, he would say, we want to do your will, but the sourdough in the dough, meaning if you added water to the flour and left it, it would become chametz. But what does the sourdough do? It's like yeast. It's a yeast material that causes the raising of the dough. It causes it to ferment quicker. That's all it is. It's quick fix yeast, you know? And what is that? That's the Yetzer Hara that's in our hearts. In other words, what is this rabbi saying when he finishes praying? We want to do your will, but there's something hindering it. What is it? It's this internal, I'm going to call it a gift. It's an internal battle. There's a jihad inside of us. We have sourdough. There's sourdough in the dough. That's one thing that's preventing us. That's the Yetzer Hara that's in our hearts. And there's something external that's keeping us, and that's the oppression of the kingdoms, Shibud Malchut, the non-Jewish nations that prevent us from keeping the Torah. May it be your will to save us from them. Okay, we're going to take a short, not break, but like a diversion, and I want to just dwell on this a little bit before we go back to the whole story about Moses going up and having that debate with the angels. So, the idea that Sa'ur Shebe'isa, the sourdough that is in fact, listen to the words. Sa'ur sounds like sour, right? The sourdough that's in the betzik, the dough. The first thing he brings down is the Imrei Noam. He says that's the Erev Rav. Whoa, we have a lot of Jews who are not only not keeping Torah and mitzvahs, but working against the mission of Jewish people. They're called the Erev Rav. Hainu harushoyim sheba'am Yisrael. The evil that are amongst us. Shem geruim yoter muzolam. They're actually on a much worse level enemy than the non-Jews that hate us.
Where do we read?
Oh, it's on page 2.
No,
what is this text? This is from the Metifta. You know the series on the Gemara? It's a beautiful series. And this is from the commentary in the front. Although I did bring some things from the back. So it's on Brachos 17a. But this gets a little bit more, esoteric and Kabbalistic, or let's say spiritual, metaphysical. And he brings down that there's a Maimer, Bir Maimer Zek to Marsha, and he quotes the Rambam in the Shemona Prakim. And he says that there is to man to behave with the character traits that God gave you, but to go and act in the most middle central way, right? As far as Sfaradim, right? We all call it the golden way, right?
Or the medium.
The what?
The golden medium.
The golden medium? Median. This is the way God wants us to go, not to any extremes. Hine, hayetzer hara mesis es adam. Mesis is from the word missionary, by the way. So the yetzer hara entices man lahafriz al midotav l'tzad echad, to spread all of his character traits to one extreme. Kegon lehitgaos yoter min haroy, to become more pride than is fitting. We all have to have some ego, right? But it has to be like a healthy amount. But the yetzer hara causes it to rise even higher. O laharbos taivos, to go to the extreme of our desires. Lefichach doime bezel saur hamagbias ha'isa yoter mimashi be'emet, and it's compared to the sourdough that causes that dough to rise much more than it would have if it was just left alone. It would still rise, right? It would be a nice flimsy pancake, right? But here you're talking about a nice. It's full of air holes. You know, that's when you slice the bread. It's full of holes, full of like Swiss cheese. Ve'ilu hashibur malchus. Now, on the other hand, remember, what did the rabbi say? There were two things holding us back. There was the sourdough, that's the inside, and then you have the malchiyut on the outside, the kingdoms, the non-Jewish kingdoms. They machriach es Yisrael leilech l'tzad hasheni legamre. They caused the Jewish people to go to the other extreme. What does that mean? In terms of a healthy sense of ego and pride, they cause us to be downtrodden. I don't know if you know this, but in Rome they had, I think also in certain countries, Germany, Bavaria, they used to take, in these Christian countries I should say, I'm not afraid to say it, they took some kind of a hunchback, some kind of a, and he rode on top of a Jew, right? And they, like with a whip, I mean, they really tried to show how lowly the Jew is, and they claim that we killed their God, and who knows what else, there's blood libels, and we take, I don't say it's on TV, it's not true, that we take their blood, the Christian blood, and we make matzahs with it, and they have pogroms, and the Crusades, we're not the real target, but more of us died on the way for them to fight with the Muslims than Anyway, you get the idea, okay? That there's two things holding us back from serving Hashem properly. The own Yetzer Hara, which is internal, and then of course we have external enemies as well. They don't allow us to have any pride, right? Even in the Muslim countries, you have to walk not on the sidewalk, but below the curb, so to speak. You have to pay a tax, a demi tax. But they really push the Jews down to a point that is so low. They prevent all the good from happening. Also, whatever we need to serve Hashem, they prevent us from serving Hashem properly. That's why this Rabbi Alexandri, that was his prayer. He would pray to Hashem that we want to do your will, right? That our will is to do your will. Meaning to say, what does that mean? To go in the middle path. Our goal is not to go to the extremes. We just want to walk in the path of service to God. And who's preventing us? The Yetzer Hara, which was compared to that sourdough that's in the dough. And it's Moshe Chotan L'tzad. That brings us to one side, which is gaiva and haughtiness and all the bad stuff from the inside. And the Shibud Machlut, the domination of the foreign kingdoms. HaMoshe Chotan L'tzad Hasheni. So his prayer is, that we should be saved from their hands. We should return to a true service of God, the middle way. And he brings another idea down in the name of the Ein Yaakov, who writes that the Yetzer Hara is mesis, entices a man in the actual, the prime service of God. When it comes to the negative commandments, the Yetzer Hara entices us to violate the negative commandments, whereas the Malchut, they make all these decrees, don't allow us to do Bris Milah, learn Torah in public, keep Shabbos, keep Rosh Chodesh, whatever it is. They make gezeras to prevent us from doing the positive mitzvahs. Therefore, the prayer is on both of them at the same time that God should save us. Then he mentions to look in the back. Oh my God, so much. We can go for hours. I think this is so good. It's really very good. So what I decided was just to maybe, it's really hard to cut anything out, but we could. The first part. Remember the first part this rabbi prayed to, it's the same rabbi, it's just a different version. That Hashem should establish us in an illuminated corner. And the Hebrew is, I'll read it in the original text in the Gemara. That we should stand in the Keren Ura. So Rashi translate, everyone's translate Keren as a corner, a zavit. And al ta'amidenu b'keren chashecha, and not to establish us or stand us up in a dark corner. But okay, va'al yidve libenu, va'al yachshechu einenu, right? So that our hearts shouldn't be mourning, in pain, and our vision shouldn't become darkened. So you don't have it in front of you, but bear with me when I read this. That we already know that the Keren means a zavis. Why? Why didn't we? Let me just read it like this. Kain Perish Rashi, v'kasa be'imrei noam, shetam hadavar, tam hadavar. The reason for the matter is that Rashi explains that Keren Ura is a zavis because this zavis that actually has light, a corner that has light, which is unusual. V'lo Perish Keren Ura, hainu ziv ura. It's not a ziv ura, a shining of light, but it's a corner of light. From the language of, it says in Exodus 34:29. Exodus 34:29. When Moses comes down and he has this shine on his face, and he has to cover his face with a mask of some sort. So the verses over there says, Moses did not know the skin of his face shone radiant. The Hebrew is keren or panav, a ray ray which goes like that, it's almost like a corner, right? A ray of light.
That's where they get the idea that Jews have horns.
That's where I think Michelangelo got the idea to paint or to make a statue. I don't know what he did. That Moses has horns. That's why they say Jews have horns. I have a different reason why I think they say Jews have horns. Because we really do. Look. No. Because if you ever notice, when someone raises the Torah and sits down and they, right at the end, 3 days, 4 days a week, 4 times during the week, that if you're on the side and you see them holding the Torah, those two things of the top of the Torah scroll pointing, if you're sitting on the side. But the truth is, we wear phylacteries. Who says a horn has to be pointed? It can be a flat box. It's a leather box sticking right out of the front of your head. It also looks like it could be a horn. Anyway, you see, guys, we don't have horns.
You forgot yours at home.
I don't. It was a bad joke, but there was a guy at the airport. I told you this one. So he was like Erev Rosh Hashanah. It was during Elul. He was carrying around his chauffeur with him. So a guy says to him, what did he say to him? Oh, I forget how the joke goes. I might have to cut this out totally because I'm not really good at telling jokes. But he said something like, "Oh, I thought you had 2 horns." He says, "No, I'm reformed," or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember how the joke went. But the guy was holding his horn in his hand. The chauffeur. So the guy said, "I thought you had 2." Anyway, I don't know how the joke goes. All right. It was the attempt, and you guys laughed anyway.
That's good.
So that was the point. Okay, so we're back in the text here. Okay. Therefore, Rashi needs to explain so far. Bir inyan bekashazeh. Remember, the explanation of this request is that Sheya'amidu Kadosh Baruch Hu bezavis or, that God should stand him or us into this corner of light. So writes the Maharsha, Sha'am Yisrael begalut, when Israel is in exile, Nimshalim Haim la'adam ha'omi b'karen zavis. We're compared to someone who's standing in a corner, a tight spot. Shu makam tsar. See, even the word Karen, like the word corner. Karen, corner. Okay. A koren zavis. Shehu makom tsar v'dachach d'chuk. It's a very tight and pressed space. The ein bo revach kamo shar makomos vayis. It's not like the rest of the house, which has a lot of space. The corner is very tight. Kamo kein ein ur hachalanot sholet kol kach b'karnos habayis. That's why the light coming in from outside doesn't really grab hold of the corners of the house. They're the darkest parts of the house. Therefore he prayed, this Rabbi Alexandri prayed, She'af al pi sha'anu begalus, even though we are in exile, ka'oimdim bekaren zavis, and we're standing in this very tight, dark place, mekom mekom, ta'amidu bekaren ura. Nevertheless, we request that you bring light to that corner. Kolomer shetatzilenu sham mikol tzara, meaning you should save us from any type of pain and challenges. Then Rashi mentions, okay, then the Imri Noam writes, remember this, okay, that's a sword be'isa. He mentioned all that already, so we'll leave it. Okay. Oh no, that was the front. Now we're going to go to the back. Okay, that was so now in the back, it's going to talk about that a little bit. Okay. So his request was to stand him up. God should stand him up in the Karen Orah. All right, we already saw Rashi, Bezavis Orah, fine, so the Maharshal. And he just mentions exactly what we just saw. Oh, this is really interesting. Okay, guys. Remember, it's like new. It's like new, man. It's new. According to the Medrash, this is the Ben Yehuda. It's one of my favorite. This is the Ben Ish Chai. He says on the pasuk it says. This is in Deuteronomy 2, verse 3. Chapter 2, verse 3. You know how there's a There are 12 tribes and in the desert, and you had the Kohanim and the Levim taking the center, but you had 3 tribes on each of the 4 sides. East is always forward. You're going forward with the eastern direction. I know, but the eastern front, the eastern back, I don't know, flank, whatever they call it, of the army. The army is in, there's 4 sides, and the flank, I guess that's, I don't know. Anyway, so he says like this. The pasuk says, you know what, I should look it up here real quick. It's in Deuteronomy, it's in Bamidbar, that's Numbers 2, verse 3. You guys can look it up too. Numbers 2, verse 3. Listen to this. So on the east side, who do you have on the east side? That's for sure. To those who encamp to the front, at the east, shall be the banner of the camp of Yehuda. And who's to the sides? Issachar and Zvulun. Okay? You have Issachar and Zvulun on each side. What do you know about the relationship between Issachar and Zvulun? That one was wealthy and one was very studious and into Torah. And they made a deal. And the deal was, well, first of all, it was the rich people that came to the Torah scholars and said, we want to support you, we want to share in your reward. And what does Yehuda represent? Okay, we'll find that in a second. So, since it says to the east in the front is the flag of Yehuda, and who surrounds the flag of Yehuda? We say Yehuda, Issachar, and Zvulun. So God says to Moses that the eastern side will be the Or, right? What is it about the east? It's where the sun rises, right? The light comes up from the east. I'm sure it happens in Wenatchee just as well as in as Japan, right? The sun still comes up from the east. Yotze la'olam, it comes out to the world. Kenegdo Yehuda, and Yehuda is going to be to the far east because he's Malchut. That's where the king, that's where the Messiah, that's where King David, Malchut, the kingship comes through Yehuda. Va'olav, and next to him is Yisachar Shubal Torah. He's the one who is the full of Torah scholars. And Va'olav, and next to them, on the other side is Zvulun Shubal Ashirus. They were very wealthy. So it comes out that to the east is a Keren Ura, a light, a ray of light, that has 3 matanos tovos, 3 great gifts that are involved in this great light that comes up from the east. Torah, Malchus, V'osher. Shumispala, what was he davening for, this Rabbi, Alexandri? That you should stand up for us, the Keren Ura, meaning, Shetitein lanu gimel matanos elu, that you should give us these 3 gifts. That's what he was praying for. These 3 gifts, Shemit Yachsim leMizrach, that are relating to the east. Shu Keren Ura Shel Olam. That is the light of the world. Va'al tamidenu Keren Chashecha, and not to bring us the corner or ray of darkness, which is where does the not the west, the north. Here in Israel, every house has a panel for heating the water. At least in Israel, because we're in the northern hemisphere, they're all pointed south. Why? Because most of the sun during the day is in the south. It's true it begins in the east, a little bit maybe northeast, and it ends in the southwest. But through the day, it's traveling south. It's traveling southwest until it sets. Kisham hu choshek. So the north is called darkness. Now, if you look in Jeremiah 1, verse 14, you know what it says over there. Jeremiah 1:14. I mean, we haven't even gotten into the clear car. We got part of the clear car. But anyway, Jeremiah 1:14, what does he say? Something that will scare the daylights out of you. And Jeremiah 1:14 says, Hashem said to me, from the north the evil will be released upon all the inhabitants of the land. Right? I'll read in Hebrew, so you all know what I'm talking about. Those who understand Hebrew. Here it is. V'yomer Hashem Elai, mitzafon tipateach hara'ah al kol yoshvei haaretz. Okay, so I didn't make it up, right? I'm not no prophet of doom. So that's
But
what.
what does that say about the tribes that were camped in the north?
No. It's talking about the north. And then just to finish off, he does mention, like we say in Esther, we actually say it in Havdalah. We say it several times during the year too. It's Esther 8:16. The Jews have light and gladness and joy and honor. What are we looking for? Right? We're looking for, I'm looking for the pasuk in Hebrew, right? Anyway, so that's as far as I got in the preparation for that piece, which I thought was really cool to share with you guys. Okay, so let's go back into our piece. We stopped somewhere where we talked about the Isa, the worship of Isa. So if you want to know where we're in just the second paragraph on page Tuf Kuf Lamed Zayin. Really the third paragraph, but the second paragraph of this piece. Why is so the Yetzer Hara we say is the source of Isa? Because any place the Torah can be found, Sham ein Yetzer Yachol Lazik. The Yetzer Hara cannot do any damage. It can't damage when you've right now. There's another idea. God says, "Barati Yetzer Hara, barati lo tavlin." I created the Yetzer. God created the Yetzer Hara. Right, we saw in Isaiah, God says, I created evil. And He created the refuah, the antidote, the tavlin. Why is tavlin the antidote? Because, number one, you're cooking and you need a little salt, you need a little pepper, a little bit of this. It's fixing it up to make it great time, right? Also, the idea that what's the semel, the symbol for a pharmacist? The mortal and pestle and mortal. Because what they did today, a lot of it is synthetic. But they used to go, believe it or not, they used to go and find herbs and make a concoction, and that would cure people. Right? Today we just take chemicals, and then we're like happy. So you crush these tavlinim. That's what they took, tavlinim. So here's, God says, I created the Yetzer Hara, but I also created the answer, the fixer. Now, what is the truth? The truth is that God always creates the fixer, the refuah, the healing, before He even creates the problems. Now, you should know this. This is something, when we talk about faith, we have to know this. That whatever problems we face, the solution is there. We don't have to find it or be open to receiving it. Not an easy challenge, but that's our challenge. So God actually gave us the Yetzer Hara. And what day? Okay, it's true. Created the Yetzer Hara, and we had it already in us when Adam, Rishon, the first man, ate from the tree of the Garden of Eden. But also on the day we get the Torah, believe it or not, the Yetzer Hara was also given on a certain level, because this is what those chametz, those 2 leavened breads, are going to represent. So what happens with this story about Moses going up and having this discussion? Okay, we're going to get to it eventually. I know we are. And so he says, what's the tavla in the Torah? If it was not for the Yetzer Hara, we wouldn't need the Torah. We wouldn't even need the Torah if we didn't have a Yetzer Hara. How do we know that? Because this was the actual claim that Moses made when he went up to heaven to receive the Torah. That Moses was victorious in the debate with the angels. Okay, so I think I have the piece here. Here's another piece I'm going to show you. We say in the Shema, the Samtam, right, we shall place these words upon our heart. The words Samtam, you should place them. Samtem. Samtem is Samtam. We should place Sam. What's Sam? A drug. Tam means a perfect drug. What are we placing? When it's on our tefillin or in our mouths, or we're placing the perfect antidote, the perfect drug. And okay, so that was just the piece I wanted to bring out in Kedushin over there. In Shabbos 88b, Pei Ches Bet. So it's Rabbi Shua ben Levi says, when Moses ascended, the angel said, "Who is this person among us?" So God tells the angels, "This is he came to get the Torah." So the angel said to God, "Will you give your treasure, which you stored away already for 974 generations before creation, to just flesh and blood?" Okay, we're not going to go into what that all means right now. So actually God says to Moses, "You answer them, you tell them." So Moses says, "I fear lest the breath of their mouths burn me, because they're purely spiritual and they don't sin." So God says to Moses, "Hold on to my kisei kavod, my throne of glory, and answer them." So, what did Moses say? He said to Hashem, "What is written in your Torah? You're going to give to me, right?" So what does it say? It says, "Anochi," right? "I am the Lord your God, who took you out of the land of Egypt, the house of bondage." So Moses looks at the angels. He says, "Were you in Egypt? Were you ever slaves? Did Pharaoh enslave you? It's not for you." Then it says, "You shall not have any other gods in my presence." Right? "Do you serve idols?" Moses says to the angels. And then it says, "Remember the Shabbos day. Don't do work." Do you guys work at all? You just sit around, I don't know what you do, but you're not working. So what do you mean cease from work? And don't take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Do you guys even do business? Do you get in a dispute? Do you have to go to court and take an oath? So what are you talking about? You don't do business. And then to cap it off, right? Well, it's not really the end, but it says, "Honor your father and mother." Do you even have parents? Who you gonna honor? And then he's lo tirtzach, lo sinav, lo tigno, right? Don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't steal, don't bear false witness. Do you guys even have any envy in you that you would be rebellious? Right? You don't have any envy. So what are all these laws to you? So you know what the angel's response was? The angels admitted to Hashem that the entire Torah should be given to man. And immediately every angel loved Moses and gave him, okay, we're not going to go into that, gave him different secrets. The angels gave over different secrets, even the Satan. The secret the Satan gave was that the incense would cause the plagues to go away. Okay, back in the text. Isn't this fascinating? Absolutely fascinating. Okay. So now we're getting an idea why those two loaves are made of chametz. We saw there was a need, right? The end result, there was a need that the Torah be given to the lower world. Listen to these words before you go. In order to give them the refuah, the medicine, al hayetzara karuch behem, for the yetzara that's embedded in them. Remember, God created lamale chesronam. We, the humans, right? We're the ones that have lack. The angels don't lack anything. Therefore, it says chametz teafena. Now, I'm just telling you what does it mean? That means that God, this is the day that God gave us the Torah. It's Home2Torah. The Yetzirah is part of who we are, right? And we have to serve Hashem with our Yetzirah, right? It says to serve Hashem with all your heart. And the heart is spelled Levavcha, right? Levavchem. It's two bets, because we have two hearts, right? Serve God. If you, I can't even think. Different levels of taivas and different levels of desires, earthly desires, to serve Hashem. If you really want to be rich, it's like you can't get rid of it, so become rich and give lots of money away to charity. Why not? right? Whatever you desire. You love blood, then become a slaughterer of animals for the sake that Jews can eat, nice meat on Shabbos, and or be a mohel and circumcise children and adults who want to convert. If you like blood that much. Whatever it is, have a great Shabbos. Whatever it is, use your desires to serve Hashem. God gave you these gifts. We just have to take that middle road and not take it to the extreme. Okay, so that's the first part. Now, he says there's the reason also that the Yom Hadin, the very fact that Rosh Hashanah is the day of judgment, is hidden. Remember, we discussed that in the beginning of this class. That a person shouldn't walk around with like a haughtiness, not royalty, but like feeling that he's got the whole world, he's got the authority over the world, and he can do whatever he wants. And he thinks he can just do sins all year long. And he thinks that he can just fix all of his actions as the day of judgment arrives and gets closer. Because we know that God is going to sit on judgment on that day. But rather, it's not told to us in the Torah. But rather, a man should imagine in his own soul, in his own mind, as if each and every day Hashem is sitting on his throne of judgment, on his seat of judgment, and is examining his little notes on every human being. And through this, a man will do tshuva every single day. And even according to the opinion that says, there is an opinion in Rosh Hashanah, in Gemara Rosh Hashanah, that man is judged every single day. And you can find that in Job 7:18. Look on page 6 on the source sheet, Job 7:18, that you should visit him every morning and try him every moment. So this is talking about Hashem, that's what Hashem does. So there is an opinion that man is judged every day. So basically we take both approaches, okay? And this is understood by anybody who's a thinking person. We use both approaches, okay? I just want to show you, if you look on page 6, you don't have it there, number 7, Rosh Hashanah 16a. We know that the Mishnah says there are 4 Rosh Hashanahs, and just because we had a lot of rain today.
What both approaches?
That is, if you look, what I mentioned was, if you look on the top of Taf Kuv Lamed Chet, he says, Yeshiman da Amar, Adam Nidom B'Kol Yom. There is an opinion that man is judged every day, as it says, we just read Job, right? From the word Livkarim, right? Tifkadenu Livkarim. L'Regoyim Tifkanenu. So it says, U'B'Chibure Hanizkar Harachti B'Shnei Tamim Elu, right? Connect those two ideas. I think he means the two
verse.
Opinions.
Or the verse. Okay.
There is an opinion that we're not only judged, we are especially judged on Rosh Hashanah, but don't think that that's the only day we're judged. We're also judged every single day. I think that's how it comes out. Now, I just copied the pages of the Gemara, the English. It was Rabbi Yehuda said, everything is judged on Rosh Hashanah, and the verdicts are sealed on different dates. Pesach for produce, Shavuos for fruit, and Sukkot for water. This is going to be important in what we're going to be coming up to. And Yom Kippur for man. Okay? Then Rabbi Yossi says man is judged every day. It's derived from the verse we mentioned in Job. Rav Nosson said actually man is judged every moment, from the same verse. And then the Mishnah follows Rabbi Yehuda as referring to the verdicts, meaning the outcome, the psak, And the Mishnah sets the date for man as Rosh Hashanah. Okay? So just to get this idea straight, we're going to talk about Pesach. There's a judgment concerning produce. That means the grains. Shavuos is going to be on the fruit, the perus. Sukkot is going to be on water. And on Rosh Hashanah, the man is judged, but the verdict is on Yom Kippur. And that's how the Gemara ends. So now we're going to go back into the piece here. So this is it's chapter 22. Sorry. It's chapter 23, verse 22. So go back into your source sheets. We said, what is these 22, verse 22, doing in the middle? We started off by saying these are the festivals of God, Hashem's festivals, Moedei Hashem. And it goes through the Chag HaMatzot. We're going to say Chag HaShavuos. Then, right, through the counting of the Omer, and then this new Chadashah, this Mikra Chadashah. And then you see it's going to go into Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. But like somewhere in between all this, you have this verse that says, when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not remove completely the corners of your field as you reap, and you shall not gather the gleanings of your harvest. Right? You have the mitzvah Peah, Leket, and Shechicha. So he says, Ubekutzrechem, and in your reaping of the Katsir, of the Artzachem, you're reaping the harvest of your land. Smichut Pasuk Zeh, Parsha Omer. It's right there next to the Omer. Right after the Omer, there's a proximity. What is it doing there? So the Medrash says, ready for this? Lovers of Torah and lovers of mitzvahs, Shasive v'Kadosh Baruch Hu es Yisrael b'mitzvahs b'chol maaseh. That God pounds us, not in a bad way. That God surrounds us, with Israel, with mitzvahs in all of our actions, everything we do. Let's say, for example, a guy that goes out to plow, Yotze l'charash. What does it say in the Torah in Deuteronomy 22:10? You know what it says over there? You shall not plow with an ox and a donkey together. You think, okay, I'm resting on my laurels. I just did the greatest mitzvah. I did the Omer. I counted for 50 days. I'm finished. Give me a break. I got all my points racked up. No, everything you do, you're going to keep racking in. I think I hate to bring this up. You know, Trump says we're going to get sick of winning. Right? Make America great again. And you're going to get sick of winning. Anyway, Chas v'shalom, we should get sick of doing mitzvahs. But the other way around, God surrounded us, everything we do. You go out and you do plow, remember, don't put your donkey and your ox together. And then what happens when you go and seed? You throw the seeds down, maybe today the machinery. Lo tizra kilayim, don't put a mixture of seeds. Look at Leviticus 19:19. You shall observe my statutes. You shall not crossbreed your livestock with different species. You shall not sow your field with a mixture of seeds. And a garment which has a mixture of shyness you shall not come upon you. How many Jews, they go out and they buy these suits if they go to a kosher tailor, so they know that there's no wool linen. And it even has a little label that it's not there's no mixture. But you go to Sims, which has great suits, and I don't know if they're still in business, and they're very cheap. And you know what I'm talking about, Sims. That's where the smart shopper shops, as he says on his commercial. And you have to get it checked. And there's a Jew in every city with a little microscope and a pH balance box, and he checks to make sure that your suit is kosher. So we're surrounded by mitzvahs. Yotze l'ktzur, you go out to do your harvest. It says, Lo techala pe'asadcha. Don't finish off the corner of your field. Hashem wants us to give money to the poor. He wants us to take care of each other. He wants a relationship with us, and He wants, us to do mitzvahs. So you might come upon your mind, you might mistakenly think, this field, I already did all the mitzvahs. I did the Omer offering. Since, I don't know what time of the year, we're talking about right at the day after Pesach, but whatever time of the year you're in, you're remembering back. The day after Pesach, I did a great mitzvah. We already did a mitzvah with this field. I have no obligation to be subjugated to anymore. No, the Torah says, Lo tikla pe'asadcha. Don't finish off the corner of your field, meaning even when you're doing your harvesting and you're getting all the the positive results of all your hard work. Hashem is reminding you, you still have more to do. Nevertheless, this mitzvah of to leave over, don't finish the corner of your field. Well, you might think that it putters you up, it exempts you. First of all, it doesn't mention anything in this verse about your vineyard. Because you know why? Because the Omer offering does not come from the vineyard. Your field that you grow grain in, you don't put grapes. It's forbidden mixtures. It's also kilayim. So it doesn't mention anything about your kerem. So where would you ever think, why would the mind think that I did a great mitzvah with my field, I don't have to do more? A great proof is from our own words, says in the Medrash, in the name of the Torah's Kohanim, Af mi shehaviha shlish matkil. Maybe you can help me, I don't exactly know what he means. V'koitzer upater mileket shechopeh. So that you're not. Okay, this is some details about the mitzvah, whether you did a third of it, whether you're still obligated or not. But let's go on to the next part. Davar acher. You know the answer to that?
The wheat. She has a full size and 1/3 of it.
You're not obligated
from this level, it has a chiyuv of.
So once it grows a certain amount, then you have the. Before that, you're not. Okay, that makes sense, because even in Shabbos, Silk Shabbos with Bishul, when you think about it, you just started cooking something, yeah, you might be over a Bishul, but it's not edible, so it's not really, there's a whole series of until when are you actually chayav, and so there's a machlokas of shlish or chetzi. Okay, says Rabbi Akiva in the Gemara, right? Why does the Torah tell us that we bring the Omer during Pesach, right? The day after Pesach, during the week of Pesach, in order that you will be blessed, right? You do the mitzvahs, not saying that that's the sole reason, but we do the mitzvahs, we know that there will be a blessing that will come from your field. And on Shavuos, you bring these 2 loaves of leavened bread, Yizbarchu Perus Ilan. And as a result, your trees, the fruits that grow in your trees will be blessed. And what do we say about the Nisu Chamayim on the Haga Pesach, Haga Sukkos? Nisu Chamayim Machag Yizbarchu Gishmei Shana. Which unfortunately today we don't know what that means. Today specifically, I mean. Because we had very hard rain. And it's not supposed to rain at this time of the year. But anyway, so that when we do the water libation on the festival of Sukkot, that should bring us rains in the proper places and the proper times. Now, I don't know exactly what this means, but in order that you don't come with your heart by saying, I think for nothing, right? Davar b'li ya'el, it was all for nothing. By saying like this, after you say, I did these 3 mitzvahs, right, of the Omer and the 2 loaves and the water libation, that Hashem is going to bless me through the whole year, im kain, if that's the case, why do I need to keep doing mitzvahs like giving to the poor and giving tzedakah and giving charity and leaving these particular mitzvahs of peah, shikha, and leket? What do I need more blessing? I got plenty of blessings. Torah teaches us in your reaping, in your harvesting, because it's now yours. Ki tov asher ta'achos b'zeh gam mizeh al tonach yodecha. What I think it means is it's only going to be yours if you commit and you know in your heart you're going to be giving the tzedakah, or you've already done it. If you're not willing to do it, Hashem's not going to give it to you. We say that even if you were, let's say, very poor, you still have to give tzedakah. And it's through your giving tzedakah that you're allowed to test Hashem. Right? You're not allowed to test Hashem normally. We don't test Hashem. We know we're not supposed to. But there's one idea brought down of when it comes to tzedakah and charity, that God actually prompts you, challenges you to test Him. And He says it is a test. And only by giving, you'll actually have more to give.
Yiboneh